I know you only got 10 minutes. Here, I'll back it up. How's that?
That's okay. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go to the gym soon. Like, no one calls their landlord in the morning, so I do the gym 9 a.m. or 10 a.m.
What's that say about tenants? They all sleep in?
Well,
They're
yeah,
all
like
at work. They're all at work. Oh yeah, they're all get busy getting their kids to school or going to
they're going
work.
to work or school, they're sleeping, and if they have an issue, they just typically tell me about it later, right?
Interesting.
So, unless the hot water tank just blew up,
Yeah,
even
urgent.
then, I'll just call my plumber, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
What's going on with you?
Oh, I got a notification that it's our 5-year Facebook friend anniversary.
It's funny how time goes by, man. Like, even just when I talk to some of my friends about, like, oh, remember that wedding we were at, or remember this, like 3, 4 years ago, it's like
Mhm.
gone. Like
Yeah,
5 years, gone
yeah.
quick.
And I know now it sounds cheesy. It's kind of like the world how it is today, though, because we don't live near each other. We wouldn't have met each other unless we were introduced over Facebook by Don Campbell.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. I wonder if that's
But
the world now. Actually, it's a fun thing. When I network with people now, uh, it's just my preference because I've found it effective, and also I find I give more information about myself when I do this. Instead of like giving a business card or getting someone's phone number or getting someone's email address, I actually will stand there with my phone and my Facebook app open and say, "Hey, let's connect on Facebook." Or if they're younger, I kind of profile people and say, "Hey, what's your Instagram?"
okay, okay.
Right? And that's how I connect with people now. Uh, as
Well,
person,
if you meet someone, give them a business card, you're done unless
yeah,
you start calling each other again,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of, and reaching each other. Facebook, you're like, it's there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just there, right?
Yeah, it's there, and also they can flip back through my history, which I want, right? Because I want people to know who I am, and you can see that from what I'm doing, right? I posted a picture last night. Like we got our shipment from Spin Master Toys, 200 pieces, so we can support the Hamilton Bash Brigade. So, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's who I am, right? Those are my actions. I'm president of a charity, but that's I'm not here to brag about myself or anything. Um, it's funny because so something happened in the financial markets recently, and I generally avoid a lot of news. But I was on my Facebook and I saw you posted it. There was a big movement in the stock market thing.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
and to give
For
some our listeners some context, I'm talking to Mike because Mike is actually a very good trend spotter. And what fascinates me about Mike as an investor is, other than being a good, successful real estate investor, is Mike is one of the few people I see successfully, consistently beat the market in terms of financial markets, right, with his investments. So he's someone I want to learn from and hear from, right? Versus, people just stick money in a mutual fund and don't follow it really, right? They open their statements maybe once a quarter and they have no idea what's going on. So I heard there was news in the market recently, Mike, and I heard it from
yeah,
you. So I
I
hope you
mean,
can talk to it.
you're following my group. So I mean, yeah. So I have my Invest Like Mike group, which you watch there, and I posted a pretty obvious article because everyone's been talking all week and all month about what's going on with the stock market, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're someone that's been investing in stocks for the past, I don't know, 2 years or something, it's been a crazy, wild ride, and market's been going up ever since Trump was elected, and it's been crazy. Amazon went to $2,000. It was $1,000 a couple of years ago, So it's this week and this month the market got killed. And basically, ever since Trump has been kind of fighting with China in a pretty aggressive way, China's market is collapsing. Um, so you see us panicking about the U.S. market being down maybe 10%. If you're in China, you might be down like 40% or 50% on your stocks in the past 3 years. Like their market took a big dip in 2015. The US market only dipped 10%. From there, in 2015 onward, the US market went up like crazy. China's market did not go back up to par at all. It stayed down and has come lower now because of the tariff war. So that is all spurring a lot of this. And then, not to get too technical, but there's something called the bond yield and a bond yield curve. And when the 2 year and the 10 year cross over each other on a graph, it's very bad. And they're close to doing that right now. So people have been buzzing about that now, technicians on CNBC, and that all added up to an 800-point drop yesterday in the market. All of that drama put together, and it snowballed into a huge drop. And I mean, honestly, a lot of people who own individual stocks are down a ton of money right now. So if you owned Amazon at like $2,100, I don't know what the price is today, but it was around $1,500 recently, and that's a solid stock. If you owned Apple at 200 and some dollars, it went to 180, 170. Like good stocks are down by double digit percentile.
Right.
So, there's no stock you could have held where you're okay right now. I guess let's put it that way. You couldn't have held Microsoft or anything and not lost money. Everything's down.
Right. So what's your investment style right now?
Well, here's the thing, and I mean, like even just with your intro, like I don't want people to get the misconception that Mike never loses a dollar and only makes money. It doesn't work that way. It's like
No.
if you play poker, you might lose a few hands and you got to end up on the plus side by the end, right?
Yeah.
So, did I lose some money in this drop? Yes. Am I still in it right now? Hell no. I mean, I don't hold in that fashion. Now, if you have some kind of
So
large pile of money that's
sorry, Mike. You're out of the market completely right now?
I've been out of the general stock market for like a month.
Oh,
Uh,
fascinating. And
okay,
I
so
want to highlight that because that's not most investors, right? Most investors just buy
no.
something and ride it out.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to say that there's two ways. Okay, so you might have someone out there who just has like 20 grand in the market and they're playing around, and they can go in and out. Okay, but you have other sophisticated investor, which represents most of the money in the market, and that doesn't mean a professional investor. It could just mean someone with a lot of capital.
Mhm.
Okay, and you give it to your money manager, and you maybe have hundreds of thousands or millions invested. They're not really going in and out. Like you don't want to take profits on your Apple shares hoping on a dip, because then if it doesn't dip, you just paid taxes. So people
Right.
are tending to hold when they have a lot of money in. Okay. But with the price drops that have been happening recently, a lot of people with big money have been selling.
Hmm.
Prices don't drop that much
Right.
unless a lot of people are selling.
Right.
But those are the sophisticated investors selling. So
Yeah.
your Carl Icahns and your guys that own a ton of shares like that, they've been selling while most people with money have been holding institutionally, and they're experiencing the drop. A guy like Carl Icahn or whoever will be buying back lower, and that's how the big money guys do it.
Right.
I don't know if you know who Carl Icahn is, but he kind of associated with Trump, and he's a big stock guy, right?
Right. Right.
So these guys will buy and sell while the institutional money, like our grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad, or whatever, are just
Yeah.
kind of holding.
Right.
For me, when I say I'm selling, I'm saying I have a TFSA strategy I'm using, and I'm buying and selling using my TFSA,
Hmm.
and I can do that without tax penalty. So
Right.
if I sell trying to time a dip and I've made money on that stock I sold,
Right.
it doesn't matter. I'm not paying taxes on it, and I can buy it back whenever I want.
Right. Right. So I know we're
Yeah.
short on time, but I just want to mention how I think most investors, like the index funds, for example, are very popular right now,
Yes.
and typically those people don't get in and out, so that's probably not a pretty picture for them.
It's not, and I mean, there are some ways you could try to protect yourself. There are some index funds that represent being short or long the market, for example.
Hmm.
So some people hold their position, especially if they don't want to be taking a tax loss and guessing if a dip's coming. They'll hold, but they'll buy something to cover them if the market goes down. So you can buy an index that will go up aggressively if the market goes down, buy a small position in it, like an insurance bet, and if the market goes down, it's going to pay you off very handsomely to cover what losses you made on your regular portfolio.
Hmm.
So a lot of people do that to hedge their bet, so to speak.
Very cool. Very cool. Any final words you want to share? Because I know we only have a few minutes of your time while you're getting ready to go to the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, do I think a market crash is for sure coming? No. Could it turn into that because of where we're at? Yes. So watch what happens with China and Trump very carefully. Like if they get into a really big fancy deal and it's an awesome deal that comes out all of a sudden in January, that could and should save the market. You should see a bounce off of that. However, they're going to take up to 90 days, apparently January, February, March, to continue discussing things. If that drags the market lower, we're in a really bad spot.
Oh
So
yay!
be careful.
Be careful. Which is funny. Yeah.
Some people want to just buy a stock because it's cheap right now and they'll just hold it. That might work out for you, but
Okay.
just be careful.
And then, do you have a minute to share how real estate's different? So you live in St. Catharines. You're familiar with the Ontario market. How is it
Yeah.
different versus what you're talking about with the stock market?
Well, I mean, for example, they're different animals. Like, I mean, last year the real estate market up until May last year was hot. If you had any piece of real estate, people would overbid on it for you, right?
Hmm.
If you held through that, and you still have all your properties today, now you got to kind of beg people to buy your property, so to speak. Like it takes 30 or 60 days to buy that property. I find housing is less liquid than a stock.
Hmm.
So the stock market started dropping. I just sold all my stocks quickly
Right.
in a minute. I can't do that with my house,
Right. Right.
right? So I
Oh,
would say
just to clarify though, your house is all rented anyways, so you actually didn't lose any
true,
money.
but if I wanted to sell my houses, it's not that quick of a thing to do.
Yeah.
And if there's panic in the streets, I'm going to continue watching it drop. With the stocks, I was able to get out of the stocks I wanted to get out of. If you were trying to do it yesterday, it would have been a little messy, I guess, right? Because that was a crazy day. But you still would have gotten out. You would have had to give up some of your principal. So I like that I can get out of stocks very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do that and you're not getting out quickly, they drop much quicker than a house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On average, unless there's a housing crash in your country, housing does not go like this and chop up and down in price like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Stocks easily do that.
Right, right. And if we do have a major correction, just through my anecdotal polling of people, I've met so many investors who started investing in real estate because they got slaughtered in the market.
Well, and to throw out something else, like the opposite of that, I know a lot of people that are in real estate because they make so much money in the market by buying after the crash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Well,
So,
I think people who are successful in the real estate market, they invest in like everything. Like they'll go out and like start businesses, they start cannabis businesses, they start whatever businesses because they have the seed capital, their own seed capital now to take a shot at whatever they want.
Yeah. And like I said, the other thing to put out there for people is, I lost a little bit of money before I sold, meaning some of my profits were given up and I sold. But if the market tanks and we go into some kind of a crash right now, I'm just sitting here waiting to buy. So if Apple goes to, I don't know, it was over $200. If Apple goes to like $120 or $130 because the market tanks,
right,
I can buy that and watch it go back up to 200. It might take a little while, but it's not that easy to make those kind of returns normally. So I'll be sitting on the sidelines watching, and people that buy after market crashes tend to do really well.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'm not praying for that because that would be horrible for the economy. But I'm in a position where I could benefit from that and it wouldn't actually kill my portfolio. I could technically roll back in and benefit from the rally that would happen in the coming years.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So Mike, I know we've taken enough of your time. How can folks follow up with you if they want to follow what you're doing? You mentioned your Invest with Mike Facebook group.
Yeah, if you want to follow my group, I mean, I don't post every single trade I do there, but I post a general, I'll talk about what's going on in the market or certain stocks that I own. And you can follow it on Invest Like Mike. Type in Invest Like Mike on Facebook, and you'll see my group pop up there that you can join for free. So even recently, you would have seen me talking in the group for the past month or so saying that I don't own any cannabis stocks right now. I'm just watching them drop. I don't own any general stock market stocks. I'm just watching them drop. I would have been voicing that in my group.
Right.
Yeah.
So if listeners, if you enjoyed this, let me know, because I'm already considering having Mike on the show regularly to give us like what's the happenings in the financial markets. Pretty cool.
We can call it "What's the Haps."
What's the haps? I need a stock angle to the name. So okay. All right. Thank you, Mike. Enjoy the gym.
See ya.
All right.